I can't be the only one asking, what on earth happened here? Well, we gotta go back to the beginning for this one. In this particular case, the beginning takes us to the year 1989. The place? Chicago, Illinois. This is when and where Nick was born. We don't really know anything about his background. Like nothing. We don't know where he went to college. We don't know anything about his father. Even the websites that claim to know this man's real name are full of conflicting information. Half of these websites list Nick as being 6'3", while the other half list them as 5'3". Which one is it? I don't know. It's not like any of this is important anyways. His YouTube career started in 2008, which was a channel dedicated to piano tutorials. Slowly, he started to incorporate gaming content into this channel, and over time, it grew. By 2013, he had already become a full-time YouTuber. During this time, he was making a lot of Clash of Clans and Boom Beach content. Nick was experiencing exponential growth in all realms of his life. His YouTube channel was taking off. He met his future wife. He was talking to new people, many of them becoming his friends and future collaborators. One of these acquaintances eventually became his best friend. You can't talk about Nick without bringing up another YouTuber that was by his side since 2013. Of course, I'm talking about Molt. Since they were YouTubers that occupied the Supercell gaming space, their careers were heavily tied with the success of the company. Naturally, this meant that they would see wild success when Supercell games were flourishing. Luckily for them, Supercell was dominating the mobile game industry. So, as a result, their channels grew and they started to get more and more acquainted with each other, eventually starting to collaborate regularly. And well, they clearly hit it off, because what would follow would be hundreds of collab videos, them meeting up IRL, being the best men in each other's weddings. So yeah, basically you could chop this up as being the whole 9 yards of friendship. If this already sounds great for Nick, well let me tell you, it only gets better. The thing is, Supercell released a new game at the start of 2016, and it was a smash hit to say the least. Let me reiterate, Clash Royale was the game that eclipsed all expectations. All of a sudden, because of this new game's release, all of the mobile game YouTubers were put on notice. And they didn't wait around. Both Nick and Molt rode the massive Clash Royale tidal wave to immense success. If you look at Molt's most popular videos today, it's clear to see that they are dominated by his old Clash Royale content. And as you would expect, this uptick on Supercell's popularity translated well financially for the both of them. And of course, their channels also reaped the benefits, growing significantly during those peak years of Clash Royale. This led to their channels nearly doubling in subscriber count. But you know what they say, all good things must come to an end. Remember how I said these YouTubers rode the Supercell wave? Eventually, that wave slowed down. Much of the Clash player base simply wasn't as interested in Supercell's IPs anymore. And as a result, these YouTubers suffered. Gone were the days of Clash Royale videos breaking 7 million views. But on a real note, these Clash Royale videos were a literal cheat code to gaining a massive amount of views. Just take a look. I guess you just had to be there, huh? But slowly, the views started seeping away. In 2018, the infinite view well that was Clash Royale content finally started to dry up. Soon the average view count was below 100,000. Just like all of the other mobile game YouTubers that specialize in this Clash Royale content, Nick was also going through the same slump in views. And the thing is, what made this event especially tough was that these content creators did absolutely nothing wrong. The creators kept a strict schedule, uploading almost daily. But like all games, Clash Royale had a shelf life. And by 2019, making Clash content was no longer viable. It was still considered to be a good game, but since the game's inception, everybody knew that the game was never always going to be number one. And once the interest in the game dried up, so did the interest in the videos. As of today, most Clash Royale videos only get around 10,000 views. I mean, still more than me, but you get what I'm trying to say. And this drop in views is all the proof that you need to see how much of a double-edged sword it is to have a YouTube channel that is so heavily tied to any sort of intellectual property. By this point in the video, you might be wondering, this video is supposed to be about NickAtNyte. Why is this buffoon talking about Molt and all these other mobile game YouTubers? To that, all I have to say is that I would have used examples of the decline of Supercell's iron grip on the mobile game market from Nick's channel. I wouldn't have needed to ramble on about Molt and other creators if Nick had only just left his channel untouched. But unfortunately, his channel looks like this. A ghost town. a relic of what once was. Simply put, NickAtNyte hasn't been in the right headspace since before he made a YouTube channel. In a now privated video with another prominent Supercell YouTuber, Clash with Ash, Nick detailed his downward spiral with depression, substance abuse, and self-harm. Couple this with the stress of his YouTube channel becoming completely stagnant, which was his full-blown career at that point. And it's no wonder to see his mental state careening downwards. It's safe to say that Nick sought out YouTube as an escape. Clearly he was not too happy with his life, as he was slamming down antidepressants. So, in order to cope, he created the NickAtNyte character on YouTube. A funny, charismatic, down-to-earth person who honestly made people feel at ease with his enjoyable content. Alright, let's take a step back, and let's give ourselves some time to really soak everything in. Nick, who was already an unstable guy, gets his escape mechanism ripped away from him, because the viewers were no longer interested in consuming Supercell's intellectual properties. Yeah, honestly, it doesn't really take a genius to figure out what's about to transpire. Nick went silent. He turned his back on his community, his friends, and Molt. They would try to reach out, but all of their efforts were in vain. Something was clearly brewing in the background. That's when Nick and his wife of around 4 years would decide to get a divorce. This was the absolute last straw, and it snapped the camel right in half, because sometime after this, he would come out as trans femme and change his name to Nicole. And if Nicole wasn't already pushing her friends away from her, well, that would soon change. And for the rest of this video, I'll be referring to Nicole as she, just because Nick had a very special place in my heart when I was younger. And if the old Nick is somewhere deep inside, and if this is what he truly wants, it would be disrespectful of me not to oblige. After pushing everybody away from her, she crafted a brand new persona, NickAtNyte. All she really does is occasionally stream, but she no longer plays video games. Instead, she talks about politics and everything trans. And she also plays with her ass on OnlyFans. But we'll get to that in a second. This new persona also includes an obscene amount of tattoos, including a completely blacked out sleeve. To be fair, she might be struggling with the same debilitating disease that Uncle Ruckus has. Revitiligo was the name if I remember correctly. At this rate, it appears that she's also trying to become transracial as well. I mean, I guess the only way that we'll know if she's gonna ever get that full blackout body tattoo is if we stay tuned to her new content. Nah, you know what? Don't tune into her new content. Don't stay tuned to her new content. It's not worth it. Allow me to elaborate. According to her, she is already a demon and a masochist doll. Whatever the hell that means. Out of everything that I have had to research for this video, this part of Nick's life has been the easiest. Because, well, her Twitter account is a perfect time capsule of her journey for the past 3 years. It shows her trek from getting face surgery to, her constant, OnlyFans advertisements. Yes, if you didn't know, or I hadn't mentioned it already, NickAtNyte has an OnlyFans. And you already know how to confirm this for myself, so you know how to check it out. Obviously, this is for research purposes only. And full transparency, it's just as hot, I mean dreadful as you could imagine. For those of you interested in the degeneracy of Nicole's OnlyFans and want to check it out for yourselves, don't. Let me summarize it for you. It's pretty much everything that the notorious leader of the black community, Dreamable, does. Just more submissive, if that makes any sense. Either way, I implore you, do not check it out. In all seriousness, this is what happens when somebody doesn't get the help that they desperately need. NickAtNyte has been mentally unstable for many years. He admitted to this on the now privated video with Ash. It is clear that he feels uncomfortable in his skin, and that's why he has created all of these facades. This is a person who is self-destructing right before our very eyes. He has isolated himself from anybody who cares about him, and in place of those stable relationships, he has surrounded himself with pure debauchery. In case you haven't figured it out, his new transgender arc is just another way for him to escape his true being by reinventing himself. He doesn't want to have to unload all those years of abuse that he has had to endure. So for him, it's easier to play a character. Let this be known, this is not normal. Nobody who's completely right in the head would call themselves a masochist doll, or for that matter, a demon. I truly hope that Nick gets the help that he needs before more irreversible damage is done to his body, or before he does something more permanent. As Mole put it on his Clash with Ash interview,
I mean, it's tough. Yeah, it's like that person doesn't exist anymore. Obviously, like the physical human being is still there. Now, as Nicole,
that person doesn't exist anymore.